Right, good morning. I'm going to be doing the memo for the step 1 test that we did, just to show you what the different steps are, or what we did here in creating it. So the first thing it asks you to do is to create the weapon class, and according to this diagram above, then different questions sort of go down to this class diagram. I'm not going to go into, I'm going to do this quite quickly because I don't feel that you guys need this too much help with this. You should have all got 100% here. I think the only area that potentially people would have lost marks is making sure that they initialize their fields correctly up here. So now, when you go, I'm just going to create a package quickly, otherwise it can cause issues, so I do suggest you guys create a package. And I'm going to create a new Java class called weapon, I think was the first one. Now, when you're declaring your different fields, you'll see there that it's got weapon name, damage, speed. I did notice a couple of people when I was walking around initializing here. You should never initialize here. I allow you guys to initialize your arrays there, because often an array is a bit more complex data type or complex structure. Even the arrays you shouldn't really do in there. You should only do it in the constructor where it's going to be used, but then you must remember to do it in all constructors to initialize that array, size and stuff. So I do that for ease rather than for allowing, but some people were doing that here and then wondering why it wasn't allowing them to do certain things later on. That was pretty silly of them. You should know better than that. And then it asked for damage and speed. Okay, so those are the fields that we needed. It then asked for a default constructor. So a default constructor would have, you would need to initialize all your fields to default values. If it's not provided what the default values should be, you can assume these as the default values, zeros and blank strings, that kind of stuff. The next one asks just to receive weapon name in, so I create my constructor this time only receiving the weapon name. And again, you mustn't forget to initialize. So those are stupid marks that often people lose, is they forget to initialize all fields in their constructors. So that's very important. Initialize all fields in your constructors in B. I'm trying to move the microphone a bit closer because I notice my audio sometimes is not the best. Okay, so the next question asks for a fully parameterized constructor, so then you just tick all three of them. So alt insert, you select all three, you move on. Alright, so the next one is to create the toString or override the toString. It says, it says create getters and setters for all classes. So alt insert, getters and setters, tick, done. So yes, there's marks for that. 3 marks nogal. Bonus. Alright, so the next one is create a toString. So alt insert, override toString, generate. We are changing the way it looks though. So I personally just delete all the stuff that they put there because I find it easier. And then I want weapon name space dash space damage done and speed, whatever. Okay, so weapon name plus space dash space plus damage, and then it was saying damage at speed. I'm actually just going to copy and paste this to make my life easier. You guys obviously won't be able to do that, you just have to retype it, but for the sake of this video I think it's better that I just do that. Just remember to include the spaces. So you don't want of speed, you want of space speed. So when it puts it together, put it in the structure, you will lose a mark if you do that. Alright, so make sure you add the spaces in between when adding the fields and whatnot. Alright, next question, we are now in question 2, the Galago class. Also this is just a entity class. The only difference here is you actually have an instance of your weapon class here, and I did see a couple of people got confused by it, and I wasn't sure why that was confusing. If you go right click new Java class, we're creating a class called Galagas. Just make sure of my spelling. Glass, okay, Galagas. When you create your fields now, the only difference is you're going to have a field string warrior name, and then it's going to be boolean medic, so boolean medic. Then it's going to be int health, and this is the part where people didn't do, like they confuse themselves. You're just creating a type of weapon. Sorry, I forgot to put private in front of these. I would lose marks if I didn't do that. So let me quickly do that. Oops. Okay. So your private weapon, meaning you're creating an object weapon inside this. Your warrior class or Galagas class has a a weapon object inside it. So I am referring to a weapon. So this warrior has this weapon, which is a complicated data type, which has its own damage and blah 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 inside it, and we called it weapon. Now someone said, but weapon called weapon, it's the same thing. No, it's not. Capital W because it's a class, it's a class type, so it's and the actual object is with a small w. So it's not the same name because remember casing is different, so it's not the same object that is there. Now if you scroll down, it then asks for a fully parameterized constructor, so I'll insert fully parameterized except the weapon class. So it's partial parameters. The weapon class was not initialized. Now this is probably going to be the area that some of you will lose marks. Is every field needs to be initialized. Now when it's a complicated type, it's a weapon, it's an object that here. So objects should be initialized using your null. So instead of 0, instead of blank, you just null, meaning the weapon is null. There is nothing in there currently. So you initialize it using that. And the next step, it says there, create a constructor indicated in the above class, all getters and setters. It does say there. Strange enough, there's no marks allocated for that, and it's toString. So there's no marks allocated for the getters and setters, so it was in the class diagram. I'm going to add them, but there's no marks allocated for this, so if you didn't do that, don't stress. I'm just adding it because of that. Override the toString class of this class, the toString to represent this object. It doesn't specify on how, so I can just go alt insert toString generate, done. And you would get full marks that it was only worth 2 marks. I didn't add more for, okay, you formatted correctly, I already gave you marks for that. But I'm going to do it just because I can. Now you'll notice here, medic, this would be true or false. I could potentially deal with that slightly differently, so is medic or something like that. But I'm not going to, I'm just going to say medic that, and I'll just display it exactly as is, of health. We know that the weapon is just going to be null. So we haven't coded the weapon class object yet at all. We haven't dealt with that inside this class anyway. Alright, so now it says manager, so open your manager. I did say open. I did make a errata during the time I verbally told you create. So if we scroll down, if we look at this, we're going to now go into our class, and we're going to create a class called manager, so Java class manager, and here it asks us to create 2 arrays, one of the weapon class called weapons of size 100. So I assume it's going to be private. I don't think I specified that, so if it's not specified I won't give marks for it or not. I'll deduct marks for it. So weapon class array of called weapons, so you give it, you say what type, that it's an array called weapons, and is equal to new array weapons, so weapons array size 500. Now as I stated, here is where you shouldn't really initialize it in here, but I'm doing it because for metric purposes it's easy enough to just get the marks to make sure you don't forget. Too many people forget to initialize it there, so this is for the sake of those who just want to go through routine, get the marks and make sure that they do okay, but as far as logical structures are concerned, you should not do it here. It then asks for a counter of them, or counter of both, that asks that later on in the question. So in weapons equals to 0. As I say, you normally never initialize in here. I'm just doing it for the sake of ease of reference. And then the other one would be the gallo glass. So the weapons was 100, and the gallo glass, and this should have been called warriors. I think I was too lazy to try to spell gallo glass again. Equals new gallo glass array size 500 semicolon, and then same thing, private int num warriors. Okay, so now we've got this, we've got the warriors there. We're now going to be 500, keep a count. So that's really not challenging, and none of you should lose marks for that, because it's literally you're saying what object it is, or data type, and the fact that it's an array, give it a name, equals new data type or object type size, and then a counter. that that's not challenging. Now the challenging part does come in, where we need to make, I'm going to make them private, and I'll explain why just now. You could have made them public and it wasn't specified, so it doesn't matter. Void load weapons. So this object, the purpose of this one is to load the weapons object. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to say, first we're going to say we need to access our file. So file, control spacebar, make sure you do that so that it imports java.io.file, and then file f is equal to new file, and we are going to say the string path name, which is in this case weapons.txt. I am then going to scan through my thing. So scanner, again you need to go control spacebar, so you import java.util.scanner, sc file, so I'm scanning through the files, equal to new scanner, and then here I'll be sending through the file source. It will give me a red underline, that's because there's an exception. I am not going to handle it here, I am going to throw it. So I'm going to throw the file not found exception. I'm then going to worry about that at another stage when I'm going to handle it. And then I need to loop through the array. So if we go into our weapons.txt, so I'm just going to open up the thing. So if we go open up our weapons.txt, you'll see that each weapon has goes weapon name, damage, speed, and it's separated with the hashes. So the first thing you do is you loop through your array, which you do by going Scala F. Remember, we've got the file that shows it, so you really shouldn't have to worry about this. Now, as I said to people, normally you wouldn't use a scanner here, you'd use a buffered reader. A scanner is just for the sake of simplicity, but maybe in this example I'll use a buffered reader. I haven't used the buffered reader for a long time, for a little while. Buffered reader. As you can see, yeah, I'm not going to bother you with it now. I used it a little while ago and I can't remember the syntax. I'll first figure out the syntax and then I'll get back to you guys about the buffered reader, because the buffered reader allows you to read from much larger text files. A scanner doesn't, is not used anymore because it works with smaller. But the first thing we're going to do is, but you would use it in this step. This step you would use it even if you use a buffered reader for the external step, is we're getting an individual record in. So we're going to say scan file, and we're going to say dot next line. So we're going to take in the whole entire line of that, and then now we're going to separate it into each individual file. So right now we separated into the weapon, so we've taken the whole entire weapon. We now need to separate it into the name, the damage, and all of that, and that's why we're using this new scanner. So we're now creating another scanner, and this one's scanning through the record. So now we're going to scan the record, which is equal to sc new scanner, and this time we're going to be scanning through the text file. So we use this overloaded constructor, we use the string source, and we are then going to say sc record dot use delimiter hash. So that's what is separating the different records out. We're then going to say the first thing is the string weapon name, and that is equal to sc record dot next. The next thing that's going to receive is the damage. That's not how it's called, damage. Okay, is equal to sc record dot next int. The next one is going to be the speed. Okay, cool, so we are done. Happy birthday. Now once we've done that, we need to add our weapon. Now, as I suggest to you guys, even prior to doing that, I would suggest to actually create a method for doing this that I was not asked, and you can do it just directly in there, but I always suggest it because then it doesn't get you confused. So I'm going to say add weapon string name, just so we don't get confused, comma int damage, comma int, what's that one? Speed. Yeah. So now that we've done that, we're then going to go weapons array position num weapons is equal to new weapon, and we're creating that. So weapon, control spacebar, we send through what we need to, semicolon. We're then going to increment our num weapons to point to the next position. Okay, we're then going to do the same. I'm just actually going to copy and paste this method right now. Actually, I'm going to come back to that. Okay, so now here, all I need to do is to add the record. I'll go add weapon, okay, done. That's it, done. There's that question, that is all the marks. So we just follow the steps. You create an add to array method. You open up a connection to your file. You open the file to read from. You then loop through the file. You get each record in. You separate them into their fields. You retrieve their fields. You then get added through to the thing that you added earlier. Now for the next question, and it did make this question more steep because this was mainly to test if you can read from a data type. The next question asked you to create another one called load warriors, which will load the warriors to the array from the warriors.txt. So we open up warriors.txt, and you'll see there it goes name boolean out of 5,000. Now the tricky part here was the boolean statement, but to start off with, now I'm reading from a text file. I'm following the exact same rules, so I might as well go copy and paste. So I'm just going to throw me red underlines because there's methods of the same name. So this is no longer add weapon, this is add warriors, and I'm then going to have warrior name. Come in. It's then going to have a boolean of damage that's going there, and it will then have so this is a boolean if he is a healer. Why do you steal my phone? What have I ever done to you?
Because it's not working.
No. Were you trying to call me?
No.
How do you know it wasn't working?
Because we're replacing all the phones in the stick.
Nice.
With
Fun.
nice new U-links. But
Cool.
these polycoms, they don't work on our new PBX.
Cool.
So we're going to take these, and they'll either be
So
getting a U-link or a snob.
cool.
Shortly.
I'm talking on live stream to YouTube if you're wondering why. I'm trying to ignore you. So
So you weren't talking to yourself, but
a little bit, not talking to myself. Kind of. It depends if anyone watches. If no one watches this, then I am talking to myself. So we'll see. So the kids should watch this. We'll see. Yeah. Sorry, you bumped.
I bumped the wire.
Yeah. Which is taken off the screen. There we go. Back. Thank you. Yep. Okay, so now we're going to be, instead of adding it to the weapons class array, we're adding it to the warriors array. So again, we're just changing our names here. When you copy and paste, you have to be very careful to change everything. Otherwise, you can make stupid mistakes with that's called yellow glass. Okay, so you can make silly mistakes with forgetting, like for example, here you add num weapon still. So be careful. It does save you time, but you make a lot of mistakes when you copy and paste, so just make sure you go through it in detail, that you don't accidentally forget to change something. So go line by line and make sure that you do change it. So this is called warriors.txt, scanner, so forth. All of those are fine, but now instead of weapon name, I'm going to rename this. Control R is a shortcut here. I'm going to rename it to warrior name, and then cheers, enjoy it. And then instead of damage, I'm going to, now here, this part is the way we're going to go into later, but for now I'm just going to get this. Now, this step here, we're not going to get an integer, it is a yes or a no. So it is a next, and it will be a string. So it's going to be string healer. Medic, sorry. Medic. And we'll send through here medic as well. We'll come back to that because we need to actually change it. So we'll do not next here. Now this will receive yes or no. So all we actually need to do is we need to say boolean. I'm actually going to call this m is equal to false, as in it is not a medic. So I'm assuming it's not a medic. Then if medic dot equals yes, then now for the sake of ensuring that this will always work, I could just go ignore case just so if it's a small yes or anything like that, it would still work. And in which case I'm assuming that person's not a medic, and only if it's if the text medic was yes would I change it. So I created a temporary boolean called m, and I put that through. And then over here what I'll do is I'll send through m as the thing, and I'll go and I'll add here, add warrior, and then that would run that. I think this should have been called add warrior, not warriors, and then that would add a warrior to the database. Okay, so the main thing here is with the boolean you would just create false. This was the challenge. This was an unseen challenge. There will always be unseen challenges. Got to show me that you can problem solve. Yeah, it wasn't that challenging. You just had to go do an if statement to check it. But if you, it is, you've got to come up with the idea of how to do it. It then asks for a toString, write code for default constructor that would run the load weapons and load warriors class. So now I've got to create my default constructor. That's not how you add a default constructor. So constructor, and in the default constructor I need to run my load warriors and my load weapons. Now you'll notice it comes up with a red underline, and the reason why is because we threw our exception. I am still not going to handle it here. I'm just going to continue on throwing it, which will keep the message not coming up, and I'll deal with it later. And then it asks for a toString. So I'm going to generate my toString. I want to untick everything because quite frankly I don't want any of that. I'm going to create a string s_all, as equal to blank. I'm then going to return s_all. I now want to loop through both of my arrays, so I'm just going to go forward tab, and I'm going to loop through my num weapons. I am then going to add into my s_all a bit of a line break or something. You can choose what you add. It didn't ask this, but potentially I would want something to sort of indicate that I'm now on warriors. Something along those lines, but you can choose. And then here, on my s_all, I would just go s_all plus equals weapons position I dot toString plus a \n, so it'll add on a new line. I think that was asked. And then the same thing now, you just need a second loop for dies less than num weapons, num warriors, and then now we do the same thing, s_all plus equals warriors position I dot toString plus a \n. Just one thing you need to be sure of is that you don't here you don't need to be sure of this, but I would like to. This is the weapons, so I'm also going to just do some sort of format that I did for below \n, so that it doesn't have a consistency there. So now we need to create our GUI. So now we're on the question that asks for our GUI. It says just create a GUI that will test out by creating an instance and adding an item on there. So new Java JFrame, done. We're going to call it GUI, Pacman, done. And then just going to literally create a text area. I don't need to do anything fancy because quite frankly, text area, set the layout of this to be grid layout. So it'll take up the whole area. I want to change the text variable name to be txt display, whatever you want to call it. And then I'm literally going to go into my source code. I am going to create an instance of my private, you don't have to call it private, but manager man is semicolon. In my constructor now I'm going to initialize my manager, so man is equal to new manager. You'll then see this will throw me a red underline, and the reason why it's throwing me a red underline is because I threw an exception here. So I'm going to surround the block by a try catch. I am then going to print out the error message I'm then going to print out the error message ex dot get message. You can also just use get, no, that's fine, do that properly. And then I'll make my txt display dot set text to be man dot toString. So then I should, as soon as I play this, if I've coded this all correctly, I should just have the warriors, the weapons followed by the warriors. So let's say this is my main class, and it's popped up on a different screen, but it has worked. So you'll see there it says warriors. Okay, it just said warriors, not weapons. So now there's a bit of problem solving here. Why do I not have any weapons? So let's take a look. So close. Let's go into my manager class. Okay, so let's zoom out. So weapons, num weapons, we're looping through weapons I00, add warrior, add weapons, load warrior, load weapons. I should probably do this in a slightly different order because quite frankly the weapons were, but the load weapons is there. If I run my load weapons, it reads from weapons.txt, there was no error message. Weapons.txt, there are weapons that are there, so why is it not printing it out? Oh, there's a problem. Instead of plus equals here, I did an equal. So I overwrote what was there with the warriors that's there. But I hope that watching me solve that helped. Like I kind of went through step by step where the program was going. So I went, okay, when I click toString, what happened? Okay, when I'm loading, that looks like I'm loading. I looked at my load looked correct. I then went to where it was receiving. I then found the fact that here, yeah, it was probably quite quick, but I went through line by line in my head and I was going, and I found that this was where the problem was. So make sure you procedurally go through it, don't just freak out, find the problem. Yeah, so when I press play, go back here, you'll see now the weapons are given and then the warriors are given. So my program's fully working, that's 100% for that test. Enjoy your day.